In our previous videos, we were making word clouds and we were looking at word counts. We were looking at single words. Well, what if we want to consider combinations of words? So we're talking about ngrams. A bigram is two words combined, but we can use the word ngram to represent that n could equal 3, could equal 2, could equal 4. So we have different numbers that we can have. Now, if we're going to do some ngrams, we can use our count vectorizer that we used in our previous video. So just a reminder, in order to use the count vectorizer, we first need to import our data. So we are going to scrape the PDF. And then we do that, we get text that's full of all kinds of random stuff. So we need to clean it. And so we have our processing pipeline to clean the text. So refer back to previous videos and previous code for that. And then what we're going to do is count vectorizer. So sklearn.feature_extraction.text, import count vectorizer, and import pandas as PD. We need to take that text that we have cleaned and we need to put it into a list, so hard brackets around it. So we'll call that our corpus here. And what we're going to then do is we're going to create some ngrams by first looking at or creating a loop that is going to look at how often different words appear. And we want it to look at what about combinations of words? What about pairs of words? How often do they appear? So if you're working along with us in our workbook here, we are at drstephpowers.github.io/BIA, and we're here under text mining. All right, you'll need to go in there and you'll need to, of course, download the PDF so you can look at the Canadian document, the US document, the EU document that we are scraping and analyzing here. So let me just go back in. All right, so we've taken our Canadian one. We have taken our text. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create an empty list called top. And then WF, we'll just do that for word frequencies. And we're going to call this word frequencies combined because here we're going to look at not just the word, how often a single word appears, but we want to look at combinations of words. So we need to create a function in order to do that. And so we are going to loop through the number of ngrams, and we're going to set a minimum and a maximum, and then we have our text. So the idea here is that rather than just look at a single word frequency list or a 2-word frequency list or a 3-word frequency list, what we want to do is loop through a process where it finds all of the common 3 words, and then we're going to have a look for all the common 2 words, and then it can look for all the common single words. But of course, the challenge with this is that the same word is going to appear in multiple lists. So for example, generative AI has meaning as a bigram, and AI we know is the most common single word. So we don't want to have the list be just the same word counted 3 times as a 3-word combination, a 2-word combination, and a 1-word combination. So we're going to build into our system here a way to deal with these different, to combine our bigram, our unigram, and so on. So we're going to specify number of grams minimum. And what we're going to later do is that's just going to be 1 because that's the unique words. And then ngram max, let's make 3. So let's not go beyond 3 combined words. Really, because what we're trying to tackle is those ones that are paired together that make it proper nouns, right? Canadian government is going to appear a lot together. Generative AI is going to appear a lot together. So we want to make sure we capture those. So we're going to go for the minimum 1, the maximum 3, and then our corpus is going to be our text here. So we're going to loop for I in, and we're ranging from the ngram min to the ngram max. Okay. And if you want to go, remember this is up to but not including. So if you want to go more than this, you'll need to either increase the max or make this +1 here. So this loop here is going to look at 1s and 2s, right? Because it won't go up to that 3 there. All right, so what do? We use count vectorizer, and we are looping through. And because we have 2 here, we have our ngram range is going to be whatever that specified I is, min and max. It's going to do stop words, it's going to do, and then it'll just find the maximum features. So it's only going to do the top 100. And then it's going to fit and transform. So that's this portion here is this command that we did before. And remember with count vectorizer, it is tracking originally just the location, the word. When it creates its vocabulary, it creates a word and it creates the location for it. Well, we don't care about the locations at the moment. What we want is the list of vocabulary, and we want to sum up how many times those words appear. So that's this sum underscore words. Take our bundle of words here and sum it up. And then these are the same codes we saw before in the last video. So what we're going to do is we're going to loop through, and we are going to then find just the unique words, collect them all, and put the counts. Okay, that's what these two here is to give us the word and the corresponding frequency. We can put it into a table here. That's this word frequency data frame using pandas. We'll take this, what we've created here, which is the list of words and how often they appear, turn into a table. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to filter that table and just show us the ones that appear more than 10 times. Sort the values by frequency in descending order. And then it's going to append to this. And that's because what we're going to do here is as we range is we're going to first start with ones that are multiple. So combined words like generative AI, go through those and then go through and do it again, but then the single ones. So let's look at how this works. Let's create our empty list, create our function. Okay, let's do this for our AI can. Okay. All right, so when we do this here, we have our word frequency. So here's our single words. Ugh, went too far. Then what it does is then it looks at, so it did the single words. Now it's looking at the doubles here. Generative AI, use generative, federal institutions, AI tools, guide use, Canada CA, and then a bunch of random numbers that happen to be paired together a bunch of times. So if we were to go back to our function, and if you wanted to go, if you wanted to include combinations of 3, so remember the range is up to but not including. So if you actually did want to include that max there, so we might want to change this range to be ngram max plus 1. But if we want to go up to and include the 3s, a triplet there, we would run this. We would go here. And we look at it, it's doing the singles first. So notice it came up with a couple. PM guide use. I don't know why those are sets of 3s here. Generative AI systems, generative AI tools. So you can see here in our, we've added, this appears 26 times, PM guide use. I don't know why. Generative AI tool appears 12 times. Generative AI systems appears 11 times. Okay, now here's the challenge. Generative AI Canada, generative AI tools, generative AI systems. Then in here we have generative AI, and then in the singles we have generative and we have AI. So what we can do is we can pull out the singles that are appearing in the multiples. So what this line of code here is doing is it's identifying those that are unique and don't appear in the doubles or triples. So B for B, so again, we're creating a loop and we can just call it whatever you want. In this top word frequency combo here, position 0, we're looking for the word. If B is not in T, for T in the top section 1, so if the word is not here in that then it's in the new list. So that's what all this means, is that we're looking through the list and we're looking for the words that are not in the unigram, or that are not in the C. So this 0 and this 1, just point out to you, this actual combined set here is actually 3 sets. So what we have here is the unigram, then we have the bigram, then we have the where did it go? Should have the bi, and then the 2. Not sure what's happening there. So what it's doing is it's actually looking at if it appears in the bigrams or not. So what we want to do is we want to remove the words that appear in the bigram from the unigram list. We want to keep the new unigrams, the ones that are not in the bigram list. So that's what this command does. And so what we get here with our new unigrams is this is just the list of ones that don't appear in the bigram. And so then what we can do is we can take our table that's combining all of them and we can filter it so that the section that's the unigram section is only going to include the new unigrams, not all of them. Okay, so we're going to filter for just the ones that are unique one words and pull them out so because they're already part of a bigram. Okay, so what we do is we do that, and then what we're going to do is concatenate so that we can actually combine these, because technically they're still separate. The unigram, the one word ones are separate from the 2 word section, and so we want to combine it all into one table. And what we're going to do then is we're then going to filter the table, because this allows us to merge the list that's the single words, the list that's the 2 words. So what we're going to do after we've merged it is we're going to sort it by frequency, ascending equals false, because we want the top to go down, and only show us things that appear more than 10 times. But what this allows us to do with this process we've created here is that we can have generative AI. I wonder why these must be slightly different here. Oh, no, let's go back. That's why it was looking weird. It had, let's run empty. If I didn't empty it out and ran it twice, it just compiled it on top of each other. So always clear it out before you run it. You don't have to rerun this definition, but you do have to make this empty before you call it, because then if I don't, when I go to look at it, it's going to include the old stuff and the new stuff. And I'm sure that's what happened here. So here we have here first we have just the single words. That explains why I was looking hunky. Then we have our 2 words, and then we should have our 3 words, and then there should be nothing at the bottom, which is what it should have looked like. And I was looking at it kind of funky and just kind of ignored it, but that's what happened. I didn't clear it out. Okay, so then what we're going to do is this command here is going to look for, and this only line is just doing the bigrams and the unigrams. It's not going to the 3s down to 2s and the 2s down to 1s. It's just doing the bigram to unigram. So we're looking for the unique single words, and those unique single words are these. They don't appear in the bigrams, are these words. So then we're going to filter it so that we take the unigrams, the first section of what we built, and only if it's the new unigram list, remove the ones that are appearing duplicate. Let's do that. Then we merge those together so that they are a single table. And then we say, show us only those greater than 10, sort descending. Now we shouldn't have duplicates. There we go. That makes more sense. So notice that no longer does AI appear 170 times. No longer does generative appear. We got rid of the unigrams because we have generative AI appearing here together. So what this allows us to do is create a single list that is both 2-word combinations, 1-word combinations, 3-word combinations, because that's what we built into our function here. So just a reminder, this function here goes up to, but not including the max. So in order to get 3, we had to make this 4. And you could fix this, make this +1, and then this makes more sense. Okay, you create the functions to serve your purposes. All right, so where's our table? Here's our table. So generative AI together appear 143 times, use generative appear together 65 times, use generative AI appear together 65 times. We could remove this duplication here with this 3-word and this 2-word by changing this process here with the new unigrams. We could do new bigrams and have anything that appears in the trigram not appear in the bigram, and then anything that appears in the bigram not appear in the unigram. So we could keep going, laddering it down. I might actually have that in here. I can't remember. But so we can do this. And so this is going to put these together. We can remove some of the stop words that are, or remove some of the words, add them to the stop words, add some new stop words that are appearing that we don't think are relevant. Used. Some random numbers keep appearing. Might have scrapped page numbers. Canada.ca, not relevant. So you might come across some random ones that you don't want to appear in, say, a word cloud. So let's make those go away. And then what we're going to do is we're going to filter this table here to remove those new stop words. This is the same approach we took in the previous video. So if it's in the new stop words list, then it should not be included. Okay, so clean up that table there. And then again, if you're going to do a word cloud, we are going to need to convert it to a dictionary. So this line of code here is going to take this table, which now no longer includes this list of words, and converts it into a dictionary. So we set the index, we turn into a dictionary using the frequencies. So this conversion here is simply to take our table and make it in the format the word cloud is looking for. Why go through all of this? Because then we can have it say generative AI, AI tools, generative AI Canada. We probably do want to create that because we have a lot of duplication here. If we're doing the trigram, the bigram, and the unigram, we probably want to get rid of those that are appearing in the trigram, so they're not appearing in the others. Right now, I just have, if it's appearing in the bigram, it's removed from the unigram, but it's not, there's still duplication here for the bigram and the trigram. See how with generative AI Canada, generative AI, and so it looks like generative appears a lot. So we could address that. Okay, to address that, what we would do is we would go back here and we would create okay, keep all this process as you have it, like this, create this as this. But what we would do is we would say here we would run this, but make this 1 and make this 2. Ugh. And then call this, for example, new bigrams. So doing this on the fly might be a huge risk, might just crap out everything. All right, let's give it a try. All right, there's our AI can, there's our empty list. Here's our function. This is gonna bug me, so I'm just gonna put ngram max +1, and then that way this makes more sense. I can include 1 to 3. So if you think that way, then you should make it formatted like that. Create that. So now it has bigrams, trigrams, unigrams. We cleared it out so we can see here's the unigrams, here's the bigrams, here's the trigrams. There's nothing below. So we could do new bigrams, and then this is 1 and 2. Okay. And then what we would do here is we would filter by new bigrams. Okay. And then we need to make sure we're filtering the right sections. So we're not filtering section 1 because that's the unigrams. We need to filter section 1. Okay. Do that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to repeat that process moving down. And now we're going to do our new unigrams. So I'm going to call that unigrams. And that's where this is going to be 0 and this is going to be 1. Okay, and then we're going to repeat our process here. So let's do this. And then we're going to do this here. And this one here is going to be applying it to the unigram. So that's why it's position 0. And then this is the new unigrams. Don't do that. New unigrams. Make sure that matches. We ran that. Let's run this. All right, now here's the test. So what happens is it kept the thirds, then it got rid of the 2's, and in this case, so generative AI disappeared from the list, and then because generative AI wasn't in the list, it kept generative. So you can play with it a bit to help kind of clean that up. In terms of that, we could, instead of doing it from trigram to bigram to unigram, you could do it from, you probably could just do it, let's just do it from the, we do it from here. You could run it and have the trigram apply to both. So if you want to play with that more, you can go on, and then that allows you to create your, so let's just keep going with this one here. We'll see generative is really big, and then we'll see generative appears in the trigrams as well. So we'll still have this generative appearing too much because it's double counting it. Generative, use generative AI. So we could just remove generative. We could make it from here, or we could fix that so that the anything that's appearing in the trigrams doesn't use the unigram either. So you could go with that scenario. To do that piece, what we would do is run this one more time and then create that list that is, if it's in the trigram, then it shouldn't be in the unigrams, rather than just going trigram to bigram and so on. All right, beyond the scope of this, you get the point.